The effect that digital technology will have on this world is a lot like drug addiction. The first use is usually the best part of it, where people expect to re-experience which they never do. A time comes when there are unpleasant effects and it is hard to stop. I remember when digital media first came out, CDs and DVDs, they both had the same effect in the way that they felt good. But there will come a time as people become comfortable with lossy formats that emotional expression is lost. Our machines have an effect on how we think. It is not digital functions that are the problem. I mean, for some questions, yes or no is an appropriate response. It is when all values must be quantified digitally that there is a problem. Digital thinking takes away who we are as life forms and causes pain and confusion. I'm not opposed to the ideas we have for technology, like the internet, for example. What I am saying is that we should try to approach these technologies with an analog means. Everything that it would require to build computers by an analog means can be built. The memory can be accessed with comparators for ROM, and there can be precisely tuned resistors, and the RAM can be made of sample and hold circuits, meaning inside capacitors. I don't know how super insulators could be applied to chips, since all capacitors have an internal drain, which might mean that values would have to be saved. But for what it's worth, my hard drive light goes on when I'm not opening, closing, or saving anything. Inductors are a way of storing electricity, but it is impossible to return a value with them. In a similar way, instructions can be accessed, which load registered with capacitors, perform mathematical operations, make comparisons, which can have logical operators, and do branching, which are just a few ideas of my own. There are also functions that we could put around this model or have it synchronize. In the beginning, what the introduction would be like is that if we were to build something that is 1 teraflop, not that I expect it to be, the people who make digital computers would say, we must achieve at least 3 teraflops and we have a month to do it. But we would eventually, as time goes on, build functions that are harder for them to duplicate. Maybe we would release a generation that they can't copy. It should be enough to make people believe. Eventually we would perfect the computer. But why would we give it to people who didn't want it anyways? Be careful when people say that they want to explore relations between analog and digital, because people might be trying to achieve digital results with an analog means. There is some circuitry that should not be built, and if people were to build it, they should at least know that they are building it. The problem is when a digital function is forced from an analog function in a non-relational way, which is not a problem if all the parts in this type of circuit were analog, which is where a white sound could come from. If it has to be done, this can be scientifically proven. Just have two sets of plants that are derived from the same plant near two opposed versions of the same type of circuit, as long as the plants aren't narcotics, one set should grow more than the other. When your beliefs become a 1 or 0, the idea that you absolutely support or oppose an idea, when usually there could be a median or some kind of judgment in each case. When you fight for that kind of belief, you let your guard down to the real problem is that some souls don't appreciate the flesh form and want to destroy it. To synthesize life out of a world takes a lot of planning and a lot of energy, but it is not impossible. So we should come together and agree that we want life to continue. Another thing is that a computer can come with a calculator, but if you are using a computer as a calculator, you are wasting the computer's time. If a computer could easily keep itself maintained, meaning that it is not slowed down by conflicting software, you could put enough stuff into it that it takes a while, you could actually be saving yourself some time, because a lot of stuff would take more time than it would take anyway. I think that our computers might cause this. When people are satisfied with empty nutrients, they feel like they're always in a hurry, like they have to think fast. When you went to school, did you eat the cereal that showed you the best cartoon? I did when I was little, but when I matured a bit, I started eating the most nutritious cereal that I could find. It was also quite expensive, but I think it was worth it because I didn't talk fast. But one day I took a physics test, and the answer that I got wrong was the one that was designed to tell if I was paying attention. I think that people should take a deep breath, relax, and slow down. Do a good job, of course, but unless there's an emergency, you should not need to hurry.